Hi, welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, thanks for watching. Well, we're going to get an update on the production of natural gas in the state of Pennsylvania. It's a huge industry that has grown exponentially. And then Paula Bussard is coming on from the Hospital Association. We'll check in on a lot of important healthcare updates. We'll do all of that after these words.
This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers, a fast-paced, unrehearsed weekly discussion with and about the leaders who shape your world. And now, here's your host, Terry Madonna.
Well, here we are a bit after Labor Day. As we move into the fall, we're going to take a look at there's probably no bigger growth industry in the state of Pennsylvania than the natural gas industry. It has, its ups and its downs and its controversies. Dave Spigelmyer, he's the president of the Marcellus Shale Coalition, is sitting across from me. We're going to chat a little about this. Dave, welcome to the program.
Great to be with you, Terry.
What are you all doing? I mean, this thing just took off in the last 10 years. I don't remember, and I've been a resident of this state my entire life, any industry expanding the way this did.
Terry, it's pretty incredible, and it's actually the real growth has occurred in the last 6. I mean, put it in perspective, we produced about a quarter of Pennsylvania's natural gas supply in 2008. Here we are 6 years, less than 6 years later, and we're producing more than 20% of America's natural gas supply.
Yeah. Now we've always had natural gas. We've always had, but now we're talking about the deep wells, fracked wells that you go vertically and then you go out horizontally, and there's a lot of technology involved. That's above my pay grade, as they say. Well, let's talk about the one of the things that the industry cites repeatedly is job creation.
You bet.
What's its impact been on this state?
Terry, it's the small business story, actually, and the opportunities we've got for manufacturing ahead of us. I grew up in central Pennsylvania, up in Clearfield County. I watched nearly my entire high school class leave town to find a job. Today, we've got a generational opportunity to keep our kids at home, producing a domestic energy, trading a helmet abroad for a hard hat at home to produce natural gas, and frankly, we've done that in a big way. And today, our natural gas prices to your home are less than half of what they were in 2008. Right. I think it's an incredible journey, and that affordable energy is what I believe is the catalyst for redeveloping manufacturing jobs, not just in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, but broadly throughout the Commonwealth. We have an affordable energy source with a long-term prospect for opportunity.
One of the things, and we'll get into some of the big issues. I mean, obviously you can't have expansion. It's just sort of typical of almost any industry. There's the environment and there's the tax structure and all that. We'll get into a little bit of that.
Good.
Here's what I don't get. We're all worried about energy supply, oil in particular, Middle East, even though, we get Canada, Mexico, Venezuela tends to dominate. Why can't we use natural gas for automobiles?
The answer is we can and we are, and we're doing more and more of that today. It's chicken and the egg. We got to build the infrastructure to get that natural gas to the corner gas station to fill up your car. But we're doing it with buses. We're doing it with cars. I mean, you do it with fleets primarily because it's easier to get it to a point, central refueling location, where you don't have to put that $1 million of investment in to get that station up and running. But we're doing it with fleets.
So that's a whole new infrastructure development that has to take place. Do I got that about right?
That is absolutely correct. But we can also do it with marine vessels, with construction vehicles, waste vehicles. We're doing a lot. Waste management is a great test of what they've done on their waste management vehicles. Just put CNG in place, and they're burning it in just about everywhere they have facilities.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, I guess it's, not to be critical of the automobile industry, but it is tough when you do something for so long, to make a transition to another that involves, retooling literally, fundamentally the way. I mean, you're smiling, but you would agree, I think, with that point.
Absolutely, I do. And a lot of folks will say, well, there's a safety issue. I would tell you that natural gas is lighter than air. It's safer than carrying 20 pounds of liquid fuel onto your back bumper.
All right. As you know, this subject has come up repeatedly, and I want to ask you about it. It's about the severance tax, the tax on the amount of cubic feet extracted. You now pay an impact fee, and as I've been explaining it, that's a fee that is paid on each well head, the well itself. That's correct? Natural gas cubic feet extracted. Many politicians favor it. Many politicians oppose it. It's a big issue in the state. Your industry obviously opposes it. What's the problem that you have with it?
First of all, I'd tell you, Terry, a lot of folks say that the industry is not paying their fair share. I would tell you that the impact tax is the only one of its kind tax in this country, and it's actually at a higher percentage than many of our neighboring states. A lot of folks use West Virginia as an example. Right. West Virginia raises $70 million through their impact or through their severance tax. We're generating $225 million annually through our impact tax or impact fee, and it's spread broadly across the Commonwealth with great projects that are being funded broadly from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh. Over $4 million in Philadelphia County. Almost $4 million in Allegheny County. Some of the rural counties of the Commonwealth where infrastructure has lacked the opportunity for investment have seen some of the most significant changes in their economic structure as a result of this impact tax. And I think it's working well for Pennsylvania. And frankly, my biggest concern is we don't want a new tax in this generational opportunity, just in its infancy pretty much, to place us at a competitive disadvantage with other states where that capital moves quickly. And the point I want to make there, large companies that are investing capital in Pennsylvania can move that capital pretty quickly. Small businesses that have grown their business to support this industry, they can't pick up their operations and move elsewhere. They're the ones that really see the deterioration in job growth and opportunity if we don't get the opportunity right for Pennsylvania. So when you see me standing up and fighting for our industry against the severance tax, virtually none of my members today are cash positive. I think I have one in Pennsylvania. A lot of folks talk about the billions of dollars being made. Actually, we're building the foundation for this industry to be able to compete long-term in Pennsylvania.
All right, I'm chatting with Dave Spigelmyer. He's the president of the Marcellus Shale. Next segment, let's talk a little bit about the expansion and, the environmental oil and water. It's something that you deal with every day. We'll do that in a moment.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, the statewide voice of business. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Highway Information Association, the go-to source to learn about transportation projects and issues. Please visit pahighwayinfo.org. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
Welcome back. We're talking about energy, particularly natural gas energy, with David Spigelmyer. He's the president of the Marcellus Shale Coalition. All right. One of the other issues that comes up time and time again has to do with the environmental impact. The two biggest concerns that I read about have to do with air and water. Give us your sense about where, and whether or not there's enough Department of Environmental Protection regulations. We go through all that. Give us the industry, your general sense about where you see the safety of our citizens.
You bet. And nothing's more important, Terry, than just that. In fact, the coalition that I represent was formed over the need to high-grade Pennsylvania's rules, and that's what happened when this coalition began and when the advent of shale development began here in the Commonwealth. We stepped up. A well drilling permit in Pennsylvania was $100. Today it's $5,000. It's a pay-as-you-go system at DEB for them to add new staff. They have opened a new oil and gas office north of Williamsport. New staff added broadly across the Commonwealth. The last I looked, it was over in 2008, about 60 compliance and inspection officers today, number 2 behind Texas at over 200 in the DEP. I would tell you that making sure it's done correctly is the most important thing for this industry to be able to succeed long term. The rules need to be in place. We had some deterioration with Act 13 getting overturned by the Supreme Court, but I would tell you that the rules have been enhanced.
That rule has to do with who controls the zoning, local versus the state. Act 13 provided for state regulations. The court said local. Yeah, I want to stop you if you don't mind.
Bet. Don't mind at all.
Where does that stand? I mean, now you've got local zoning prevails. Do I got that right?
That's correct. You got what you have, Terry.
What's the impact right now?
There were 3 pieces of that act. One, heightening the rules for the Commonwealth. 60% of the areas where shale is being developed don't have zoning. So we felt that having a system in place with a common set of rules across the Commonwealth would be a predictable set, of rules for folks to invest in Pennsylvania. The uniformity provisions to try and provide a uniform set of rules across the Commonwealth was key for us, and the third piece of that is the impact fee itself.
Well, how is it working now?
You know, I would tell you that our operators learned very early on they're going to have to work with communities in which they operate. So I don't think it's a major change for us, really.
You said something earlier that, I didn't realize, I don't realize a lot, but 60% of the area in which you drill, there's no zoning at all?
That's correct. That is correct. It provided a common set of rules across the Commonwealth.
Is that because it's rural? These are rural,
Yeah, north of Interstate 80, a lot of communities don't have local zoning in areas where shale's being developed. So,
really?
DEP's rules certainly have primacy for oil and gas development, right. But for roads and bridges and ingress, egress, all those type of things be managed with the communities by our operators.
Yeah. Do you have any estimate before I let you go about how many jobs have been created?
Yeah, sure do.
That's a debate that goes on in politics all the time. But from your point of view in the industry,
it's probably the most rewarding thing I've witnessed. 33 years in the business in Pennsylvania. The most rewarding thing is the jobs that have been generated and the opportunities that exist for future job growth in Pennsylvania. Labor and industry has done some work, close to 50,000 jobs directly in our industry, 241,000 jobs from an indirect standpoint at pay grades well above the average in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. You have created one problem. I want to point this out.
Traffic.
You can't get into a restaurant in some of these communities and into a motel. Am I right about that?
Because I would tell you some of our greatest supporters are those that have had their small business operations change dramatically for the good from an
All right. Well, thanks for coming in and providing the update. All right. We've heard a lot. The Affordable Care Act and other important health care measures have been pushed aside in the course of the national debate. Well, Paula Bussard from the Hospital and Health System Association is coming on. We're going to bring you up to date on that. We'll do that in a moment.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by Pennsylvania Credit Union Association. Pennsylvania Credit Unions, where people are worth more than money. To find a credit union that is right for you, check out ibelong.org. And by the Energy Association of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's energy information source. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Hospital and Healthsystem Association of Pennsylvania, working towards a healthy Pennsylvania, and by the Pennsylvania Coal Alliance, representing companies involved in America's most affordable, reliable energy source. To learn more, visit pacoalalliance.com.
Well, Paula Bussard is in the house. She's a senior vice president with the Hospital and Health System Association of Pennsylvania, where we have not done some health care updates for a while. It's an important thing. Paula, we've not heard much at all. The Affordable Care Act seems to have disappeared, but lots of things are going on with regard to its implementation in the state, how they affect physicians, how they affect hospitals. Give us a quick update from your point of view. What's transpired in the last couple of months that our viewers should know about?
Well, there's lots of things going on. We are, as a state, getting ready for the next open enrollment period for uninsured individuals, and hospitals are working with lots of other care providers and health insurers to help people be aware of what their options are and to enroll. But also what you see is the Affordable Care Act created a lot of incentives to improve care. And so you see hospitals working together, working with physicians, nursing homes, and others to really improve the care experience and reduce readmissions.
Let's explore a couple of those. Let's talk about, so our viewers are aware, open enrollment means, explain that to people.
Well, open enrollment is a time period during which individuals who are uninsured could apply for health coverage on the federal health insurance marketplace. And it will run from November through December of this year. And last year, over 300,000 Pennsylvanians selected health insurance through that marketplace. And many of them had previously been uninsured. Right. So we're hoping to get more this year.
Okay, so the reason that folks would do that is maybe their company doesn't have healthcare, provide healthcare, or their company might provide a subsidy and say, Paula, here's whatever the amount of money is, get on, go buy it. So you would get on the federal healthcare exchange and sign up. Is that how that would work?
That is how it works. The important thing is if your income is such as you would qualify for a federal subsidy to help you get that coverage.
That's another way to do it, too.
You have to enroll through the health.
Can you enroll, if your employer gives you a subsidy, can you enroll also, or is it just limited to people who qualify, because of their income level for a federal subsidy?
Individuals, if my employer didn't offer health coverage, I could seek coverage on the marketplace, but chances are I wouldn't qualify for a subsidy because of your income. So there's lots of ways to get health insurance, because you can get health insurance directly from a health plan that offers individual coverage, but the marketplace provides the tools to compare plans and also the federal subsidy.
In what way does, let's say that I go to one of your many hospitals and I'm a patient. In what ways would the Affordable Care Act affect care when I walk in the door? That, I'm sure you're smiling. There must be a lot of things.
There are a lot of things, because the federal government in the Affordable Care Act really modified a lot of the payment systems to get healthcare providers to work together better. So you come into a hospital and you're going to be discharged. The incentive for us is to make sure you're discharged to home and you stay home with positive outcomes.
Meaning you don't come back.
As opposed to being readmitted, because we're penalized if you're readmitted.
Okay, so you're penalized, so the point is pressure on you all to make sure
do a better job.
Do a better job,
and also to educate you and maybe your family. Make sure you have your follow-up appointments with your physician. Make sure if there's information, if you need home health care, we've given the right information to the home health care provider. And so those are exciting things, because we're seeing results. Readmissions for hospital patients is down by 30% this past year.
Would you argue that that's directly related to provisions in the Affordable Care Act? Now, you all were working on that, over the years, when you all have been on a program from HAP, you've talked about ways to reduce that. So is it a combination of both of those, would you say?
It's a combination of both. Yeah. Pennsylvania has a long tradition of focusing on quality and improving performance. But when the payment systems really bring it to reality that you're going to suffer a financial consequence, that steps up the work a bit more.
All right, I'm chatting with Paula Bussard. We'll be back. We're going to take a quick break. I want to talk a little bit about Healthy PA and also about the economic impact that hospitals have in the state, and we'll do that talking about money after we pay some bills.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by Highmark Blue Shield, changing the way health plans work for business with a variety of plan options for employers and more choices for employees. Information is available at highmark.com. Have a greater hand in your company's health. And by the Pennsylvania Healthcare Association, the future of long-term care. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Business Council and by the Pennsylvania Business Council Education Foundation.
Well, I'm chatting with Paula Bussard. We're dealing with a bunch of sort of a health care update. We talked about the Affordable Care Act. Now we're going to talk about Medicaid expansion. Many states have opted for what we call the traditional Medicaid expansion. Governor Corbett has something called Healthy PA, Healthy Pennsylvania. He wants individuals to get the benefits of Medicaid, but explain how he wants to do it.
Well, he wants individuals to enroll in private health plans so that there's a more seamless transition for them if they would get work and get health coverage. And so Healthy PA proposes to offer health coverage to almost 500,000 Pennsylvanians, but they would be selecting coverage through a private health plan.
Through a private health plan instead of buying it, instead of getting into the federal state run. Do I have that right?
Correct.
Medicaid program, 500,000 people. Now that's on hold, but we could have, before this show airs, breaking news on this, because it could be that Health and Human Services has put a hold on it. They are doing what with it?
Well, actually, the state had to apply for the design, and the state and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services have been working through details, and so it could be by the time this program airs that the federal government gives the state the go-ahead. In the meantime, the federal government has allowed the state to go ahead and put out bids for the health plans, to start making the technology changes to enable enrollment. So we could be looking at this program moving forward so that those 500,000 uninsured Pennsylvanians get coverage by January 1.
Yeah, and I think that's still the open question. And if they approve it, they could approve some aspects of it and not other aspects of it. And Governor Corbett has changed some of it. There was a work provision in it that people had to seek work, and I guess he's dropped that now, and we're still...
Or modified it. And really, while they're negotiating, the states and the federal government, they don't really release a lot of details. So we will all get to see what that final approved program is. But we do know that several other states have done something similar.
Right. Arkansas being one of them.
Is one of them. Iowa has done something that included this. So we think there will be something coming forward.
All right. Now, before you take leave, let's talk a little bit about hospitals are the largest employer in many small communities. I always say in Pennsylvania, with over 100 colleges and universities, many of them in small towns, the hospital and the universities are often a big employer. What's the job outlook? What's the employment outlook? What's the how strong or weak are the hospitals? Give us a quick update.
Well, there's good news and then some challenging news. Obviously, in the majority of counties, the hospitals are the larger employers. With the loss of manufacturing, hospitals represent a concentrated employment. They contribute more than $100 billion to the state's economy. But about half of the hospitals in the state are challenged financially. Their margins aren't such that they have sufficient resources. And so we have seen hospitals close. And not only is that a loss of jobs in an economy, but then communities can lose access to care.
Thanks for, I mean, one of the things maybe when we'll get you back and we can talk more about that. I think that's an important subject with the impact that it's going to have on the economy, plus the health, more importantly maybe on the health. All right, thanks as always for watching this edition of Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as I always end the program, stay well.